Welcome to the Hotel News Now podcast network. H&N's Sean McCracken sat down with CoStar's Emmy Hise to discuss what they've heard at the 2024 America's Lodging Investment Summit in Los Angeles.
Hi everyone, I'm Emmy Hise, Senior Director of Hospitality Analytics with CoStar. I'm here with Sean McCracken from Hotel News Now. I'm here to interview him about what's going on at ALIS.
Is that what's going to happen?
I have no idea.
So, Emmy, what's your takeaway from the last couple of busy days? What are you really feeling after ALIS?
You know, I feel like the uncertainty factor is gone. And I feel like everyone, it's more matter of fact. Mm-hmm. This is what's happening. I wouldn't say it's overly optimistic. I wouldn't say it's pessimistic. It's just, it is what it is. And we're accepting this normal to new normal phase.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard a lot of people say similar things. Like, it's not that it's the way it used to be, but you can kind of expect things to be stable.
Yeah.
Like, you have an idea what's going to happen this year as opposed to the last few years where you're just kind of throwing darts in the wall.
And I think that the things that people are uncertain about, they're okay with because they know what they have to wait for. So, like, you know, they know that transactions are down and they know why transactions are down. And I think people are no longer like, oh, we're waiting for the flood. I think that everyone's actually pretty just in a good spot and logical.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's see what happens.
And they're kind of off, like, done with, like, the leisure sugar high, too, where, like, in 21 and 22, there was such a huge boom. Mm-hmm. And hoteliers in that period were constantly saying, like, well, why wouldn't it be like this forever? We have literally no reason to believe that it's not always going to be amazing and huge. And they kind of got a dose of cold water on that idea last year, so they're all a little bit more realistic this year than they have been.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, the big questions, like, I used to always get asked, what's going on with corporate travel, business transit? Like, no one's really, I think I got asked that maybe once, but I think people are kind of like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question that people are asking is inbound international return. Mm-hmm. And you know, all the Americans went abroad last summer.
Yeah.
What's going to happen this summer? Are they going to continue to go abroad? Or are they going to normalize and come?
Yeah.
You know, but I just think we're at this, like, normal period of, like, all right. And I think the biggest thing that operators or people are worried about, they're okay with top line stuff. They're worried about expenses.
Yeah. Which is the same stuff we were talking about in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Like, labor shortages and expense creep, like that, those are normal things that hoteliers worry about. I've asked so many people about the Europe thing, though, like so many people, and it feels like everybody thinks like, well, maybe that was just like a 1-year thing, and even if it's not, like, it can't be as huge of a thing going forward, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, I think that, again, maybe it was like the international revenge, and it was cheaper to go.
It was pent up demand, and it was cheaper, and it's not cheaper now.
And I feel like, I don't know, like, your circle of friends, but the standard, I guess, and it's like kind of like, okay, we do an international trip maybe every other year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. It's not like we're going to Italy every summer type of situation.
That's not the average American family for sure.
Right, exactly. So but it'll be interesting to see. I do think that inbound, I agree that it's going to trickle in slower. It's still getting better, but listening to, like, Oxford Economics on, you know, the different forecasts internationally, like, their forecasts for GDP growth and consumer spending are all less favorable than the U.S. So I think that's why they slowed their projection of them fully coming back. That said, like, it's still going to be better than last year, but it's not going to be fully back.
Were you sitting in on the session where they were talking about global travel, the, like, CEO session for that?
I think so. Was that where they were talking about how they need to make it easier with visas and to get it in, and the length of time, and they really, like, need to make U.S. more attractive again as a tourism destination.
So the America's CEO from IHG mentioned, I know we're talking about travel to Europe, and that's one thing, and it is getting more expensive. But he mentioned how expensive it is to fly to China right now, since airlift is still like at a third of capacity from pre-pandemic. It says like $30,000 to fly like coach to China right now.
Are you serious?
Like, that's insane, right?
That is insane.
Like,
oh my gosh.
yeah. So I mean, if you're going to China, you really have to go to China, right? But I mean, it's hard to, and like you said with visas, like it's hard to get in and out of China. Like, there's so many things that are still not normal, and that's when you look at Asia Pacific, like that underlines that a lot. But it seems like the Western Hemisphere is getting to a much more normal place than we have been recently.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree. I do think it's something to consider to make it easier to come here, because we're talking about the next generation and how, they're more about experiences and not like, the fancy new car and material things. But that generation is also like, this is too complicated. I'm not doing, like, the patience of having to wait and do things, I don't think is there either. So I think it is something to consider.
Yeah, and obviously we need the brand USA investments, like, give people a reason to want to come to the US, right? Like, that's always going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would hope and think that eventually that would normalize in the same way as all other demand patterns. The idea that we're losing share over the arc of time is somewhat concerning, but
I don't know though, because when STR did a slide, I think Chris Clatta did, where she did the U.S. total demand ratio to global demand ratio, and it's really just getting back to normal. It was like 27% U.S. demand, and but I guess that's not international inbound, to your point. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
But that's a concern in every country all the time. If you look that you're losing international travel demand share, like, you need to do something about it. But
absolutely.
So, any other interesting tidbits you've picked up over a couple of days here? Anybody talking about weird things happening?
Weird things happening. No, but what I would say that I appreciated is, they always talk about diversity at all these conferences and all the programs they're rolling out, and which is great. But a lot of times I'm like, cool, you say this every year.
Yeah.
But what I appreciated this year is a lot more people came to the stage with actual statistics. This is the percentage of female GMs we have at our company. This is our diversity ratio. This is what we do. Like, there was more, I guess, muscle behind it versus just talking to talk. And so I appreciated that.
I think that there's like, if you're an optimist about that sort of thing, like, you say like they always talk about it. They didn't always talk about it. Like, there was a long period where it was like pulling teeth to get people on that stage to talk about any diversity issues. So we went from the period where they would just ignore it to now, like, we went to a period where we at least got lip service for it, and that turned into maybe people are taking actions and quantifying it. So that's improvement over time.
That is an improvement, yeah. And I guess
still not where you want it to be.
And I guess what I would say is, I guess I'm thinking like the last, I don't know, maybe 3 years.
Yes.
I feel like I've been it's been on the stage, and there's a lot more women and diversity on the stage, and as a woman, I noticed that. And so I
Which is the result of people making a really conservative, focused effort to make that happen, which like, it didn't just happen by accident. So there's some people across the industry who deserve some really kudos for, starting with Peggy Bird, and then like a lot of people put a lot of effort into putting that in front and center.
Yeah. And I've just noticed from like the women I met, they're very inclusive and like, hey, have you met this person? Here, come over here, let's chat. And I think that goes a long way after a while, just the networking and making sure everyone knows each other, and the inclusion, I would say. But
for sure,
I feel it getting better every year. I really do.
So have you heard much talk about Choice and Wyndham? I'm almost surprised how little time it's gotten on the main stages, but there has obviously been people just chattering around the conference hallway about it.
I mean, I feel like the little nod I got on the stage was just like, this is, a focus of what we're looking at this year. And I think it'd be a great kind of like plug for it.
Yeah.
But that was what, like a 15-second
Yeah,
plug?
that was Pat Pacia saying, I think it would be
Yeah.
a good idea. And obviously, if somebody's going to say it's a good idea, it's him.
It's going to be him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't really heard, much chatter about it. And I'm trying to ask people, I'm like, all right, are there a lot of deals? Are you, is it a successful conference? And I feel like the resounding answer I get's like, I have a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
Is, it's a lot of networking. So either they're holding the cards close to the vest because they don't want to share the diamond in the rough deal that they found.
But almost you think that there has to be more, right? Like, because it's not like interest rates are going to go up further. So we all know what we're dealing with. Like, there's not that uncertainty level that kind of killed the deals market before. And it's not like you can't do a deal at 8% or whatever, like it's not like that's going to be like toxic for forever.
Yeah. I'm sure it's hard as a seller where they're not going to be able to sell it for as much as they would like to because of, the valuations with the debt where it is. But also I think as a buyer, you're looking for that value add opportunity. Like, here's the NOI. I can get it to here and then sell it even higher. Sorry, I'm using my hands of lifting.
No, it's fine.
But sell it for even more money in 5 years. And that's, where you make your money. But like banks aren't lending on the dream. They're lending on the actual. And so that's what's, I think, kind of hard to sell the dream and get deals to pencil is you are getting a loan for how the hotel is performing today, not what a return might be.
Yeah, but the banking environment's not going to be the way it has been last year forever, right? I mean, we had a historic banking crisis not even a full year ago. Like, that can't be the thing that, like, things are going to normalize somewhat, you would think, but it's an election year. Who knows? People might just wait on seeing what the regulatory environment will be, but...
Well, and I think they're kind of... There's all these extensions, I think, of loans.
Yeah.
Because they don't want special servicing. They don't want to, like... I mean, sometimes you just have to, take it back. But that's with office. They said they're worried about multifamily happening, too. Hotels, they don't seem as concerned about. But if you're extending current loans, that doesn't give you as much funding for new ones if you're not. Yeah. So I don't know.
But there's all this private equity money too that they can operate as lenders almost, and like it just feels like the dam is going to burst one way or the other. Maybe that's not the right metaphor because it's not going to be that massive all at once, but
I know
there's going to be something that moves, right?
I mean, I think that trades are going to happen. I don't think it's going to be this explosion though. Who's to say? I might be wrong, but I thought it was really interesting. You were at the Lodging Investment Council small meeting, and it was like the question was, when are value or when is transactions going to be at like a peak volume again in the cycle? And it ranged from, I think someone said maybe one person said 2025, but it ranged all the way to 2030. Like,
yeah, weirdly, I don't think 2025 is a very optimistic point of view, though, because I would assume that cycle crashed pretty quickly, which, I mean, who knows, but...
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Kind of to your point, like not even on the transaction side, but obviously the pipeline and development is slowing.
Yeah.
And I went to the development panel, which was awesome. By the way, Rachel Humphrey's like a great moderator, and I love.
Well, we talk about people who deserve credit for getting women speakers on stages. Like, she's number one on that list.
Yeah, she was amazing and just made it such an engaging panel. But it was a development panel, but it was more talking about conversions because that's just, but again, it's like not people being upset or pessimistic. It's just like, this is the phase we're in. So conversions are what we're doing right now, or renovating the properties we do have to make them successful, because that's what we can do.
Well, I mean, the only people who can do like up from the ground development right now are people who are sitting on a ton of cash, which there are some people out there, or people who are willing to borrow at
super high
from like specialized lenders, like, so there's only so much of that capital out there, and it's very expensive, so it has to be very unique to
it's just
get
hard,
those done.
Because I mean for like the past year, maybe even 2 years, it's like, oh, there's so much dry powder, there's so much capital, there's so much, but it was still not great transaction year. Just because there's money doesn't mean people are going to use it until they see the return, a healthy return on it.
I mean, eventually they have to use it though, right? Like we'd say that, but like these funds don't get raised to just sit there and do nothing, you know? Like,
yeah, no, it's true. And I'm sure there's a timeline and like everything like that. So I'll just say like so maybe there is more uncertainty than we realize. But again, I think people are comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though. If it's not 2019, it's not 2018, but there is a sense that this is not a crazy year. Business will happen. I mean, the Noble folks just closed $1 billion fund. Like, they're going to do something with $1 billion. Like, stuff's going to happen, you know? Like, so.
I wonder if it's going to kind of like, I don't know. You know how Back to Normal, where things sell as big portfolio bundles?
Yeah.
So you get some good hotels in it, but it's a way to offload the maybe not good performing hotels too, and people buy it to get like those few good hotels, and then they'll eventually like, I wonder if that's gonna be the strategy.
Well, I don't think KSL hasn't sold anything off from the Hersha portfolio, I don't think, but that would be
I think that's too new though.
Yeah,
I think it takes like a year or two to like kind of,
you got to digest it, you got to get into the books, you got to figure out what works and what doesn't. And that's not even like they bought Hersha and they kept, I believe the Shaws are still attached in some form or fashion. So it's not like that's just like we bought the hotels and now we're going to pick them apart. But that is the type of thing, like it's a $1.4 billion deal last year, like maybe something else like that. And with all these REITs sitting out there, like there's a lot of them that are not that expensive right now. And you look at Braemar and their stock price right now, and then you look at what's in their portfolio and you're like, that's an opportunity, like, you know, like it's pretty wild, like what's sitting out there in the REIT space and is selling for like pennies on the dollar on the market. Like it's wild.
Well, it's going to be, and I think that there's going to be a mix of deals again. You know, there's going to be those kind of discounted, get it off my books type of deals. But I still think we're going to see some of those like crazy pricing because, again, to your point, if they need to spend the fund and they need to park money somewhere, like, that's probably the wrong way to phrase it, but you get the gist.
I mean, we'll get the mix of it, right? Like we'll get like little things come through, and I mean, even last year it was so far down. We still had the Hersha deal. We still had that Diplomat deal that came in at like $800 million.
That won the deal, the ALIS deal of the year.
It did.
Won it,
Hersha won a M&A of the year too. That's the thing; they stand out so much. Of course, they won.
I know. I was like, how does it? I don't know if anyone else can compete with that one.
It's funny when they list out the nominees, and it'll be like, "This sold for like $75 million, whatever," and it's like, "This sold," or no, it was the nominees for M&A included like Marriott buying City Express, which is like, yeah, that's a cool deal. It's meaningful for them. They can grow in Mexico now. They spent $100 million on it, and then it's like, then it comes in with like, yeah, KSL spent $1.5 billion. And he's like, okay, I think that one's gonna win.
Well, I mean, that kind of happened, I feel like, with the development of the year too with the Fontainebleau, and it was like a $3.5 billion. I think that's development, and then the other ones were like $500 million. Like,
well, maybe that's the difference this year. Maybe it's not like the floodgates open, but maybe it's instead of one of those this year, we get two of them, you know, in each of those categories. We get a couple of big things instead of the one you can point to. And it's like, that was the one thing that happened this year.
I have talked to a couple bankers though, that are like, yeah, we're optimistic for when rates fall even just a little bit. That things are gonna happen.
Well, and they'll have a little bit more certainty in general, and it's their job to lend money. Like they got to place money. Like they got to do deals like everybody else eventually. Assuming the world doesn't come crashing down.
Let's hope not.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. This is Emmy Hise from CoStar and Sean McCracken from Hotel News Now, reporting to you from the America's Lodging Investment Summit 2024 here in Los Angeles. We're both very tired, and I think we're done for the day. Are you good, Emmy?
Yes.
All right. Well, goodbye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Davon Reed.
I'm Omari Head.
And I'm Chris Henry.
We're the hosts of the Next Gen and Lodging podcast on the Hotel News Now podcast network. It's a monthly show in which we interview a new generation of hoteliers to get their insights into a variety of disciplines and topics, from finance to food and beverage and hotel operations. Listen to us on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was recorded on January 23rd, 2024, and edited by Trevor Simpson. Go to hotelnewsnow.com for the latest industry news every day.